Der MVP Kaffeeklatsch.
Ich kann es aber nicht genau hören, das können wir immer noch einspielen, das ist unser MVP Kaffeeklatsch. Aber wir sind hier in Orlando und auf einer großen Bühne und wir haben ein paar Gäste und deshalb sprechen wir nicht mehr in Englisch, sondern, nein, in Deutsch, sondern sprechen jetzt in Englisch. Hello everybody who comes here and I give an hand to introduce some people. Would you like to introduce it yourself?
But of course. Hello everyone, my name is Aaron Rimmer. I'm the Director of Product Marketing on OneDrive, both our consumer property and commercial property in Office 365. I've been with Microsoft for 10 years now, mainly in product marketing, both on the Windows side and now in Office, specifically Collaboration Suite with OneDrive and SharePoint.
Perfect.
Perfect.
My name is Omar Shahine. I'm the Director of Program Management for OneDrive and SharePoint. I've been at Microsoft for 20 years.
Double me.
And been working on OneDrive for about almost 8 years at this point. I think we were supposed to wear sunglasses, but you guys wore them and took them off. And
I feel underdressed, don't you? I mean, if anything, we should swap.
Yeah, normally we want to have it with other persons, but the time schedule was so complicated that we are alone. And thank you so much that you have been here. That's
happy to be here. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So, and at next, I have to say that we have to introduce us. So, Hans Brender, Mr. OneDrive, you have to start.
Around the globe, yes. My name is Hans Brender. I'm coming from Germany. For all the guests who are seeing this thing live. And several years ago, if Stephen Rose came new into the team, I was introduced from Jason Moore. Hey, this is Hans Brender coming from Germany. This is Mr. OneDrive. And now the title goes around the globe. I have the Twitter account, all the with that stuff. So yes, people around the globe know me. But the thing was that the picture, if you have everything, may I have a selfie with you? In the last time European SharePoint conference, everywhere where I have things, I want to have a picture with you. So I decided to make some pictures as an autograph card, and now it's okay. It's running by itself.
Well, you've definitely earned the Mr. OneDrive title. I think in Germany, in Europe, and even global, we'll give it to you. You do great work on being an evangelist for us in the product.
I'm married, 34 years. Now, the times, 20 years, 34 years with the same wife, and I have 2 children, and I'm a 3 times grandpa. And all about one, I'm started the beginning of all these synchronization long ago, before Groove comes up, for the first things. So that was very interesting to have whole story about that.
Okay. I'm the last one. Oh, that's okay. Yeah, my name is Raphael Köllner. Hello. I'm 10 years, 15 years in IT, and I'm in IT and a lead consultant at a Microsoft partner. And before I worked for Microsoft in Germany, and I decided to be an IT guy and on the other side the lawyer. So I love the announcements from Bill Bear about compliance and security. I hope we have some time to talk about it. And that's what I do. I speak about compliance, security, data privacy, and all of the combination between IT and the law stuff. And I like it to discuss. And today, we have a live webcast and here with video and audio, and it's very cool. So I think we don't have so much time. Let's start.
Yes.
And
there are so much news you give with the complete team. We have to wait for several things, several years, but sometimes it's a great thing. And the best thing is if you have the new update of Apple, that must think that's the best one. Tell me what's inside.
Well, with macOS 10 Mojave, which was released on Monday by Apple, we've been working hard on files on demand for the Mac. We released files on demand for Windows last year. It is by far one of our most popular features. Consumers love it, companies love it, end users love it, and we're now excited for our Mac users to love it as well. It delivers a lot of awesome features. You know, they're best-in-class features on the Mac. We love Macs at Microsoft, and so we really wanted to build a great experience, including dark mode support, which is probably the #1 feature of macOS 10 Mojave. So we built all new icons from the ground up, and I think the team did an awesome job building that feature. We're excited to ship it later this year.
Yeah, and are your viewers familiar with files on demand, the capabilities that come with that? Does it make sense to spend a little time?
Spend a little bit of time. Tell me.
Yeah, you bet. I think that was our #1 user voice request on from when we released it about a year ago now on the Windows front. And the beauty of files on demand is it allows you to take a look at all of your files in the cloud, but really only download to your device what you need to work on or take offline and synchronize back when you're online. So the beauty there is you can take a look at terabytes of cloud storage, both your personal files or your team files in SharePoint and Microsoft Teams, all from Explore or now Mac Finder. The other nice thing about that, you're able to get previews, et cetera, not consume disk space, and you don't consume any network bandwidth because you're not synchronizing files to get those previews, et cetera, just the thumbnails. So it's a blessing for end users and eating up device, but also admins when you think around network planning and making sure they can get to all of those things both in the cloud, on-prem, and not eat that capacity unless they absolutely need it.
There was a second chance.
Yeah.
We have it in Windows 8.1.
Yes.
Called it Smart Files.
Yes.
But it was not implemented into the file system.
That's
That's
right.
a difference. Now it works perfectly.
That's right. Yeah, we did a lot of work. We learned a lot from that experience. In Windows 8.1, that feature was really built in at the user experience layer of the operating system, and for Windows 10 and for the Mac, we really built it into the file system itself. And that means that it works with every single application, including the terminal or the command line or PowerShell, and every application can work with those files as if they are locally on the device, and then the file system takes care of managing the state of whether they're available offline or not. The other thing, building on what Aaron said, is sync is a difficult concept for a lot of people. They don't really understand the choices they have to make about the space on their device and kind of what they want and what they don't want. But since the advent of services like Spotify and other experiences where you have a cloud experience and you're going on an airplane, you have to take some things offline, people started to understand the model of, I see everything, but I just decide I want these files with me on the plane, and I'm being very intentional about the space I'm using, versus a sync model where it was all or nothing. And so this files on demand model is actually much more approachable for end users because they tend to understand that the model of sort of making selective choices about what's offline.
And we had it for 1 year. That was as difficult to understand what's the scene behind with the 3 icons. And people don't understand the 2 green icons. Now with Windows 18.09, but the new one in the next few weeks, we will have a different approach.
Yeah, I think we have to explain. I don't know if everyone knows these 3 icons. We have a cloud. What that means?
Only in the cloud.
Only in the cloud.
Yeah.
We have a green arrow. That means it is
synchronized,
and it's on my PC.
On this PC,
On
if
this,
you have
on
more
this
than
PC,
one.
if I have more than one. And we have a third one. This is?
If you want to work more than one time, you should say always on this PC. It must be synchronized ever.
Yeah.
Every time.
I'll give you a B+. That was good. No. And you're right. I think there's an area where it's in the cloud, and then you want it always on this device. I go offline, I want it there, and don't take it off unless I need it. It's that middle state where you have the green check mark, and that means I want to download it, and I want to use it, but you know what? If the machine decides I'm scarce on resources and I need to free that up, it'll go ahead and free that up and restore it and take that back to the cloud, freeing up that disk space when you need it, but keeping it resident when you don't. Right?
And this is also new. And I'm also a Windows insider, and I'm be happy that I can test some of these new announcements today. For example, the Windows Insider Fastring. And also, I heard you announced more of these intelligence features to OneDrive. For example, storage of sense, and what you explained, that bigger files you have to store in the cloud, but with files on demand, you see it on your PC, but if you need it, you can download it and then you have it. And I heard of one of the next features that you clean up automatically your storage. Can you say something about this? Or
Yeah, so there's a new feature in Windows called Storage Sense.
Yeah.
And so we talked about the 3 states in the cloud, always on this device, and then permanently on this device, or is permanently on this device, and then maybe it's like sometimes there depending on the state of the device. Storage Sense is a feature where it will free up space dynamically based on certain characteristics, certain circumstances on the PC. And that's nice because you'll never run out of space on your computer. You'll always have some space in reserve. And the PC is sort of making intelligent choices about what files to free up from your computer. But you always have the ability to say, this folder is really important. I always want it with me. And so you'll always guarantee to have those files available to you on that computer.
Yeah, that was one of the questions we heard about this feature, and we heard about the same time the questions, okay, if there's someone they decided automatically to restore it in the cloud, and I will fly to Ignite, for example, for 9 hours flight, and I don't have the files on my PC, and I have no internet connection, so
you just have to watch movies the whole time.
Yeah, you have to watch movies that don't work. Yeah. So, and if you want to work, you have to decide. Okay, this is my favorite folder. It has to be restored on the device, or you can say the last 30 days. Or what is the range?
I don't know, Aaron. Do you want to? Take that?
On the specifics, we can definitely give you after the show notes to follow it up. But in reality, think around. It really depends on the type of device you're working on, how many scenarios that's going to actually happen in, right? With that workhorse Surface Book I have over there, I imagine it's got a terabyte of hard disk space. The reality of you finding scarce resources on that device and releasing it back up to the cloud are probably pretty minimal. So if you're downloading and working on those things with a green checkbox, 9 times out of 10 they're going to be with you if you go offline. In those cases, when you're working on a small form factor device with a low hard drive, or you are at capacity, it's going to make those intelligent decisions for you. And yes, you should be proactive around thinking, hey, I'm going to hop on a 4-hour flight. Let's make sure that thing's available, and you can always put it always on your device. So if you're working and collaborating on a set of documents, and you're going to be traveling a lot during that time, that's a great way to make sure they're available on or off the device. But even if you're just downloading and working those in that state of letting intelligence sense or storage sense, making sure it moves those back to the cloud if needed, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be in a great state, right?
So the perfect scenario for the new device of Microsoft Surface Go.
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, any small form factor device, right? Whether it's on the Mac side or the PC side, but that is a very likely scenario, especially when you think around. It's not just your files you can bring down with files on demand, but all of your team-based files too. So if you're working in Microsoft Teams or you're working in SharePoint team sites, you can have visibility to all of those libraries as well, which can be quite expansive. But again, not eat that resident space on your device.
So I see you have to write a little bit of blog posts. People understand the concept. That does it pilot to have to go on a flight and you don't have the things with you. That could be happen. Therefore, we have to do a little bit more description about them. Not only say 1 or 2 sentences on a blog post. That's always have to see. That gives you more impression and more speed on all these things.
I have one more news. One little step back to the Mac one. I saw in the Windows Insider build you can switch your Explorer to a black one. And now I saw with the with the folder on demand feature and the new, you can also switch to the black one. So what's your favorite? The black one or the normal one?
I tell you the truth, I kind of like dark mode. I'm using it now more and more, and on my phone I'm switching a lot of my apps to be in dark mode.
So it was a user voice, for example, or
was dark mode a user voice request? I think dark mode is a big feature, and I'm not I'm more of a PC user, but I use Mac and love Mac as well. When I'm on the Mac, I do choose dark mode. I think it's just it's a nice way for me to delineate between the two as I switch devices, but it's also a little easier on the eyes. I particularly like dark mode, but everyone's got preferences. It's nice we have choice in that product. So I think that for folks that love dark mode and are fans on Mac are going to find that feature that was available day one pretty refreshing.
And the same experience on both devices. So that's exactly what you tell. That's what I do. I have a Surface Book and a MacBook, and I switch. And with the OneDrive client, I have all the files on the same device.
Thinking about DOS 3.1 or 4, before we have Windows, there was a black mode.
That's right.
Sometimes it comes back. Now you have things, but for the eyes it's the best thing, and for the battery also.
Draws me back to my green screen days, you know, just all dark.
So for me, it was another feature. I have to say, yes, I want to have it during my vacation, running from Alaska to Seattle. There was a thing, I want to have my camera not only to OneDrive personal, and I want to have it to business because of space or something else. Is there anything new, but?
Absolutely. So this was also one of our top user voice requests. People want to be able to upload their camera rolls to their work account sometimes and their personal account other times. And so we actually make it really easy for you now to switch, to turn it on for your work account, and then you can actually kind of toggle it. And it's a great feature. Lots and lots of people have been asking for it, and we're really happy to provide that feature. We have a lot of mobile users of our OneDrive app, both consumer and commercial, and a lot of people that use both. They have 2 accounts in one app, and part of what makes OneDrive great is you can keep your personal files in one space and keep your work files in another, one managed by your company and the other is sort of your space, and that way the data doesn't get mixed together and makes it really easy to go back and forth.
Yeah. Sometimes for jobs it's also interesting if you have a company for houses or whatever and you need the pictures of them. Yeah, you have to move it inside, synchronize it, going back, and again. So this step could be
the same with sensitive data. Oh, sorry.
No, I think it works great for the dual use scenario, but also when you think around, there are still organizations that have commercially owned devices, right? So you're issued a device as an employee, that's everything on that device, the applications, the data is property of the company, so it just makes sense that if you're taking pictures, they're work related and they should back up to that commercial cloud. So that is something that makes a lot of sense in that scenario or in the dual usage scenario. And just to make sure everyone knows too, we talk a lot about user voice, but OneDrive.uservoice.com is where we get a lot of our feedback, and we really listen to our customers on what are the most requested features coming to date, and we review those on a regular cadence. We just did a major overhaul on that. Ryan Hogue on the team manages that. But really looking across and saying, what are the most requested features? How do we bring those in our backlog planning that Omar and his team drive? But that is, if you do have feedback for us and want to upvote certain things or add new, that's the place to do it.
After my vacation, I have to speak to Jason and I have to say, hey, I have so many cameras, but the problem is you could not upload it in British Columbia inside nothing. There is nothing to do. And if you are connected, your code also, you have background signals about all this stuff because you cannot switch off your business account to vacation. No, that is also in there. I have to see whatever, because you only want to have it now for personal things, but the other things you have also, and there is some issues about that.
Okay.
You want like a vacation mode feature, it sounds like. Yeah, it sounds great.
Like an exchange.
Have you switch it on all the time?
No. I have to switch it completely off.
Oh, I would like vacation mode all the time. I don't know.
Maybe conference mode.
There we go.
So I know some of us have to leave, but we have time for one last question. Oh, yeah. You have to catch the next flight.
Exactly. Famous.
You're very, very famous person.
German excuse.
Last one, I think I read about the 320 files and more that OneDrive is supported, and the new cooperation for cut files. So can you tell something about it?
Yeah, so you know, about 2 years ago, we started really investing in making OneDrive an experience that highlighted all files equally, meaning we could see the previews of every file in your OneDrive. You know, we had support for maybe a dozen or 2 files a couple years ago, and today we have support for over 320. And we have an engineering team that is constantly adding file types based on what we see in the service. We have, you know, common file types, and we can sort of go after and see what's popular. And we've added support for a lot of files, which is great for things like previewing. And I don't have a lot of applications that maybe other people use. And so when they share files with me, like an Adobe Illustrator file, I don't have a copy of Illustrator. I can now see what that file looks like in my OneDrive. And I can also see it in Windows and Mac with files on demand. And that lets me do things like comment on it and give feedback.
That's new, comment.
And we announced partnership with Autodesk. One of the top file formats that our customers use is AutoCAD files. And if you look around this conference, many of the products you're looking at were built using AutoCAD. Probably this stage and probably this laptop, maybe your sunglasses. And a lot of our customers have those files, and they would like to see something other than filename.dwg. And so we're excited about that partnership because it mutually benefits our customers, and we hope to have more to say about that down the road, but it's something we're really excited to include in our sort of arsenal of file types that we support.
So 320 is not the end.
Definitely not the end, and every couple of weeks the team tells me a new number, and
okay.
It was 300 a couple of weeks ago, now it's 320.
And next week? Okay.
We definitely let people know when those changes. And I think the nice thing too is on the file viewers is thinking around the creators who have those resident applications and are creating. They want to share and have others view that and provide comments, commentary, feedback, etc., so they can iterate whether it's those designs, pictures, whatever it might be. So that's where it starts to get really powerful, and again on any device, and a lot of those same viewers are on mobile too. Yep. So even there you're getting a great rich preview without having to either download the whole thing or have that resident application.
That's really cool. So I think you have to leave.
I got to run, but thank you. It was
thank
great
you
to spend
very
time
much
with you. Yeah,
for your
thanks for your
time.
support.
And
nice t-shirts too, by the way.
Yeah.
I love those t-shirts. Hans, it's good seeing you.
you.
All right, take care.
All right, travel safe, Omar.
Thanks.
Travel safe. Yeah.
So you are
Okay.
the only
So
one
now the
to
hard
give
question.
No, we're
No.
on to
Oh, God.
25%.
Just the marketing guy left.
I have a good topic.
Okay.
You are on holiday, and I'm on holiday too. And I see a new feature. I want to show, for example, one of these guys in the audience my pictures, but I don't want that they can download it.
Oh.
And I saw on a slide a very cool feature that you can share, and you have a button that say block download.
Yeah.
And that's for me a very cool feature, because before I have workarounds, for example, with information right management and block download there and have a look and all of this, so you know what I mean. So great.
Yes, it's exciting stuff.
Yeah.
I would say, the big reason why our customers move to the cloud for their files is, first of all, is protection, right? Making sure that when a fragile device, a thumb drive gets lost, stolen, damaged, they can get to that and get it restored because it's in the cloud. It gives you anywhere access to all your files that we all talked about. And it's really around sharing. How do I make sure that content doesn't just sit to me, but I can share that out with my team members, family, etc. So we've done a lot of work around the sharing interface. One, making it dead easy and very, very intuitive across all the different surface areas. So the new sharing dialog that we have in OneDrive is the same dialog and control you see in SharePoint, you see in Teams, you see in mobile, you see in the backstage of Office. So we want to make sure that it's really consistent and easy to use, what you see. And then the latest things we did announce for that is when you do anonymous sharing, being able to apply a password. So if you want that extra level of protection.
And it's the same dialogue.
Correct, all in the same dialogue. So there's a couple different ways you can share, again, on that same dialogue, but there's anonymous sharing, meaning you're going to create a link and you're going to put that out. Anyone that has that link can get to that file. Really easy, not a lot of, really removing the tension on sharing, which is great. And then people say, fantastic, now how do I just dial in a little bit of security on that, right? So let me apply a password to that I can send in a different medium, a text message, a chat, or something like that. So if, heaven forbid, that link gets to someone I don't want, there's at least a password on it. With that comes the ability to block download as well. So now when they do have access to that, they provide the password, they'll be given view only, they can't copy, paste, download, or anything like that.
So for the companies, it's also they're very good to say if I share with external. 1 year ago at Frankfurt, people ask me, hey, do you have a list where you see which person has which open link? And I say to them, hey, think about enterprise, 10,000 users, each has 3 links. You got a list, an Excel list with 30,000 links. What will you do? Burning or into a safe or whatever. And The answer at the time was that we have a 90 days time frame. The administrator can reduce them, and you as a user can reduce him again. So all these combinations are now possible, and that is very interesting with one way. And the transportation of these messages from SharePoint, from the library, is done to the next generation sync client through our OneDrive. Had nothing to do with synchronization, but that's a perfect way.
Yeah, the point you mentioned was on those links you can also set an expiration date. So if you do create a link, it can be set by your administrator what the upper threshold is, say 90 days, 10 days, etc. But the user can also make that down. So if you want to share something out really easily, you can put a password on it, make it expire in a day. Pretty simple to put forward. We do see that some organizations, while that anyone anonymous linking, as we call it, is really powerful. Some organizations like to ratchet that down just a little bit, depending on the type of content their users might be sharing. Are they in a regulated industry like government, finance, healthcare, etc.? So there, even without that, there's a great way that we introduced back in SharePoint Conference North America, I think, so back in May time frame, where we do really easy external sharing. So, one of the misconceptions sometimes from our customers around OneDrive is you can't share outside your organization. That's not true. We actually make that really, really easy. So in OneDrive, you can do the anonymous links, as I mentioned, anyone in your organization or specific people. And when you use specific people, you can name people in your organization, and you can also name people outside of your organization with a Gmail address, with an address at their organization they work. And what happens behind the scenes is that person is given a notification, they're shared, they log in, or they get the email from Gmail or from their organization, Contoso. When they click on the link, they're prompted to verify their identity. So they'll get another email to that same address. They have to authenticate, so they have to actually have the keys to that email address. They'll get their passcode, they enter it in, and they get access. They aren't required to set up a Microsoft account as we've done in years past. It's super seamless. And we announced this week also through that will allow integration with Azure Active Directory. So what happens behind the scenes is that a guest account gets created. And that's really important if you think around not from the user experience level, but really from the security and compliance aspect, where they can take a look and see who did authenticate, what was the email of the user, what they have access to behind the scenes. So that was pretty exciting. And again, that'll be something we announced here. It'll start rolling out towards the end of the calendar year. But that is something, again, we heard a lot from user voice around, hey, I love the simple external sharing, but don't compromise my ability to manage that as a security officer, right?
That you just have a security officer and data privacy officer.
I know. Gotta make everyone happy. It's hard. It's hard.
Yeah, that's very hard. But from the security officer perspective, or also from the IT administration support, we have a feature, one more feature.
Oh boy.
It's the 30 days restoring. This is one feature. From my personal perspective, I give one of the Office 365 accounts to my girlfriend, and she deleted sometimes files or don't know where are the files and what I have done with the files. And with this feature, I activated it. I have 50% less of support because I make a 3 minutes training and said, okay, here's your UI. You can go here and you can switch the icon and you can switch the timeline and say, okay, that's your file, and you can restart it, for example, the last 10 days, at the 10 days later, restore and finish. So what's the feedback you get for this feature?
Good? No. As I talked about before, a lot of folks are coming to cloud storage, OneDrive and others, really make sure their files are protected. And so we take that super seriously. If you think around the stuff that's being stored, it's not text documents that are disposable. It's pictures, memories, IP. It's a lot of important information on your consumer side and commercial side that you want to make sure is protected. And so we have multiple layers to make sure that we are allowing you and protecting you from things like accidental deletes, loss of your device, but also threat of malicious attacks, malware, and things like that. I mean, we've all been watching the news and seeing those situations where your files are held compromised and you pay a ransom or lose it, and that's no fun. So in OneDrive, we announced Files Restore. So we keep track of a full 30 days of file history. It's really pretty neat. And the exciting thing too is we do real-time detection if we detect malware or mass deletes. So if you've deleted 10,000 files unintentionally, we give you a notification saying, did you really mean to do that? And we can actually take you to the view, show you that event, and let you restore to right in front of that event in the case of a mass delete. In the case of ransomware, we can detect when something's happened and a rename. You can take you to that point in time and restore. Better yet, we integrate with Windows Defender. So Windows Defender will detect a malware situation, remediate the device. When the device is done remediating, will then notify you to restore your files and do that. The beauty of it, even if you're syncing or using files on demand and have some resident files, it remediates those in the cloud, brings back down a local copy, and off and running. No cash out of pocket to cyber criminals, no worrisome about accidental deletes. So you mentioned playing tech support. I think we all play tech support a little bit, but that was, I would say, the #1 service call we got for OneDrive support was around file deletions or where did my file go. So we're giving self-service ways for you to get back to that, but the IT administrator can also do that for their users. So that's really popular.
But before Ignite starts, all things what we have now spoken was okay, but I have a library inside SharePoint, inside Teams. And what's with that? If I have malware of my
I was waiting for it. I'm like, is he going to give me a chance to mention it? Exciting, yes, exciting this week. We're announcing that same files restore is available in SharePoint. So on a team site and document libraries, will allow you to do that same user interface and restore it within 30 days. So we keep that 30-day file history. And I'm sure most of the folks here and hopefully our audience as well, being deep IT professionals, know that when you work on files within Microsoft Teams, those are all stored in the fabric of SharePoint and OneDrive, so that great files restore capabilities comes to your files that you're working on with your teams in Microsoft Teams as well.
That's very cool. And I was in a team session too. And there's also a lot of user voices for Teams and for the connection of SharePoint and Teams and OneDrive. And one of these user voices is a little sync button. And I saw it on a screenshot and an announcement. And
that's right.
This week we are so happy that you can go into your team, into a channel and see under files there's a link button, and if you click on it, the OneDrive thing starts. It's right.
Yep, that's absolutely right. So when you think around OneDrive, I think where we've grown up, and Omar being on the product for the 8 years, is really around enterprise file sync and share of your personal files. Where do I store the things that are uniquely mine and get to them on any device? And really how we're evolving the product is making sure that OneDrive can connect you to all of your files from a simple user experience, right? So whether you're on your PC, on a web, on a mobile phone, you can get to your files that are uniquely yours or private, that you share out kind of for ad hoc feedback, but also get to, again, all your shared files, whether you're working those in SharePoint team sites, Microsoft Teams, anywhere in Office 365. So these files experience that you see in OneDrive is the de facto standard that we're bringing to all of files experience. Just like I said, sharing is the same no matter where you do it. That same files UI we're actually bringing to Microsoft Teams. So within SharePoint, when you see the team, or within OneDrive, when you see the files interface, within SharePoint, you see this files interface, and now in Teams as well, it's all the same. So you can do custom configuration of columns and being able to easily sync. So you can, right from the Teams interface on a set of files, you can say sync. That will actually then set up files on demand. Hopefully you have it on your Mac or PC, and allow you to browse all of those directly from the desktop. So again, thinking of OneDrive as the connection and that connective tissue for all the files workload across, whether it happens in those experiences or directly in OneDrive, is we want to make that really simple, really easy.
Sharing.
Sharing,
the only problem you have is sharing.
You have no problems with sharing.
Think about this one.
Okay.
I'm a company, but I have several customers who work together everywhere.
Okay.
We are on Office 365. My customer is on Office 365, but the synchronization doesn't work over these bridges.
Didn't used to, right? Or I guess it still doesn't today, but we did announce we will allow for what we internally call CrossTenant Sync. For the IT pros, that probably makes a lot of sense. For those that don't, I'll explain. But yes, if you're working in two different organizations that have two different set of Office 365 accounts and behind the scenes different tenants, you can now sync across a tenant. So myself working in Fabricam, if someone shares a folder with me from Contoso, I can choose to sync that folder and get it on my desktop device.
Perfect.
So it's that CrossTenant Sync. So if you're working as professional services, as a consultant with an organization week after week after week for a 9-month stint, you can easily get access to those, even though you don't have a dedicated account in that particular tenant, right?
This is a solution we are waiting for, because we created a OneDrive folder in my tenant for these podcasts or for my sessions and all of the collaboration and to share our questions and to speak about it, and we have Word files and all of this, and then we run in this issue that Hans can't sync the files, and what we do, I give an account in my tenant, so that's
because you've always been able to share the folder in the web UI. You get there and you see new files at each other's drops, so it's that shared working space, but now being able to synchronize that. So you guys are kind of like me, a little old school, used to working on the desktop and bringing the files down that way. But it is amazing how many folks, not amazing, are working in the web as their primary experience. And the synchronization client's fantastic, but we are bringing some great new capabilities uniquely to the web UI as well, right? So we think around all the file intelligence capabilities that we're bringing. So you can see, if I share something out, how many views did I have on that? Who's viewed it? So if you're having a meeting with Hans, I can say, Hans, did you read that file that I sent you before we meet? And he kind of gives me a sheepish nod. I can take a look at it, and file analytics tells me he hasn't taken a look at it yet.
Online or offline?
Yes. And that is it's those types of scenarios that really the web UI start to bring. So it's fantastic for not breaking people's habits that are used to working in Finder and Explore or in the Office directly, but we're in the web UI. We are bringing some great capabilities, and predominantly a lot of those that are intelligence-based, and so see those rolling out. One we just announced this week was not only be able to see what's a file activity of how many views have you had on that, is your document really working for you and getting the eyeballs you want, but also some intelligence around how long will it take to read that document. So if you share something with me, you say, hey, just take a look, it'll only take a few minutes, and it says, time to read is estimated at an hour. I can say, Hans, I don't have time right now, I'll come back to it later. Or maybe it's a quick read, but it also tries to draw out key insights so I can get a glimpse. If I haven't read it before the meeting, at least I can get the key topics before we talk. So it's those types of intelligence scenarios that we're trying to draw more and more in, because we have such a rich graph in Office 365. You're storing files, you're having meetings, you're having emails. We know a lot about those associations and try to make your experience quicker and more efficient as you're working with files.
Yeah, but the solution we needed before Ignite. So.
Yes, not before. Not only with us. But think about our customer who spoke yesterday. That about 3,000 different things, and they say, hey, we have to hold the license. So now they can share it.
Good.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm glad it's going to resonate well with your customers. That's good.
That's, for example, we talk as 2,000, 3,000 license. They said, okay, that's only they give it an account and have to pay for the license. Now they have 3,000 less and can invest these money, for example, to Azure Information Protection, to new projects, Microsoft Search, and but a lot of topics. One last thing.
You haven't heard that. What about VDI?
That is a #1 user voice request is around VDI, and so there were some great announcements for the Azure team and the Windows desktop, and be able to support that. That is an area we're still looking at. How do we make sure we can meet the customer needs when they come to working both on Office and OneDrive? So working super closely with that team. We didn't have any big disclosures or announcements on VDI for OneDrive right now, but stay tuned.
We have seen at the first session was cool.
Yes, there are some great new capabilities coming from Microsoft all up around virtualized desktops, and you will have some great solutions and integrations as we move forward with that.
See, the time is gone.
Oh, it does. I was saying, like, we're gonna run out of topics.
We can. Yes, there was more topics, but
we have such
you have to look. All the files are recorded. All breakout sessions are recorded, and you have to, with the voice, and not only the voice, but also with pictures. And I think many customers and many administrators are now the possibility to look what happens. Because I think OneDrive is not only more the special thing for small companies, There is enterprise ready. You have a lot of GPRs, rules, and therefore I think that's the best way. I say perfect.
Yeah, I say perfect, and thank you very much
Absolutely.
for this podcast. Thank you very much to too much attendees. So say bye, and to the next one. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Der MVP Kaffeeklatsch.